Bird. With respect to the approval of the fact-finding report, I'm not sure that we have sufficient information to reach a definitive conclusion with respect to Peter Bird's concerns. And however, the way that the recommendations are formulated, we anticipate and we would review additional information when it becomes available. I do think it would be very valuable to have those concerns documented by Dr. Bird in a report that could be subjected to peer review, and that having an effective external peer review would be very valuable for that information. So I think that that's not a recommendation to PG&E. However, it would be a conclusion that it would be very valuable to have that additional information documented and then subjected to peer review. In the interim period, I don't think that there's an action that we need to take as a committee specific to that report. So that would be the one thing that I would modify, I guess, with respect to the current fact-finding report. Beyond that, I'm prepared personally to approve the report, and then we also have a resolution that we would use to do that, in addition to accepting the report.
I agree with Dr. Peterson. I think the fact-finding report was excellent, but I still have some questions about the review of Dr. Bird's comments and concerns. I think we need, using my petroleum engineering colleagues, Dr. Bird talked a lot of issues about subsurface, about the fault, about the geology and that. I think, in my humble opinion, we need his contentions in the language of PG&E or his theories in the language of seismologists needs to be peer-reviewed and evaluated and validated by experts like Dr. McDonald, like Dr. Rockwell, who are geologists and subsurface specialists. And then after that review, I'm willing to consider approval or adaptation of that. But if we can decouple the Dr. Bird's from the rest of your fact-finding report, everything else is perfect. I have just one question in your slide, Mr. Furman. You mentioned having a contingency plan to cut the capsule B. Capsule B is very big deal, at least for the next meeting also. Mm-hmm. If we have to cut it, wouldn't it affect some of its structural integrity or thing that may affect our testing of that? I don't know anything about cutting it.
We have the resident expert
I'll
from
defer that.
PG&E.
Yeah. I'll defer that question to Mr.
Philip
Sonnen.
is
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Hi, Philip.
So to clarify that's the contingency is to be able to cut out the capsule plug,
Okay.
which is where allow the long handle tool to go down and interface and grab onto the top of the capsule for it to be removed.
Yeah.
So it is the access point for the tool to be entered. So it is no damage to the capsule. It is a plug for accessibility.
Okay, thank you.
I wasn't sure where my colleague, Dr. Mishkati, was coming from in his comment, but from what I heard, he's suggesting that we do not accept this report. And I don't agree, and I'm going to explain why. The conclusion on the Peter Bird discussion was the following. The fact-finding report described the meeting that we had with PG&E and what they told us and what we heard. Okay? That's what it describes, issue by issue. You know, we said, please explain this, and they explained it. Please explain that, and they sent us to a report. Please explain something else, and they said to that. The conclusion says, the discussions with, I'm reading it, I'll just paraphrase it. The discussions with PG&E experts provided valuable additional information that has substantially aided the DCISC in performing its own evaluation. The DCISC will use this information but to perform its own evaluation, but has not yet found any reasons to question the adequacy of seismic safety of the plan. And I think it's important to say that. Had we found something that questioned the seismic safety of the plan, we ought to say that. But if we didn't, we ought to say that. All right, now let me go on. However, and that's what we said, I'll read it again, but has not yet found any reasons to question the adequacy of the seismic safety at DCPP. However, it goes on, because some of the technical topics covered are still being actively pursued by experts and will be the subject of this and will be the subject of that and will be the subject of that, it is premature for the DCISC to reach any definitive conclusions at this time. I'm reading this. That is, the DCISC's ultimate evaluation of the technical issues raised, this is Peter Bird, and any conclusions arising from it will necessarily need to wait further work now underway. That's what we said. All right, and then it goes on to say we're going to hear from them today, which we just did. I can't see how anybody cannot agree with that. What we said is, we heard this, we heard this, we heard this. We have not found yet any reasons to question the adequacy of the seismic safety, but because some of the issues in this report are still being actively pursued by experts and will be the subject of this, and this, it is premature for the DCIC to reach any definitive conclusions at this time. Who can disagree with that? Naj, why do you disagree with that? Why shouldn't we adopt that? That's what we said and wrote.
Dr. Botnis, blame it on my naivete.
No, what I'm saying is, that's what I said and wrote, and I want you to adopt it, and here's why. Unless you think there are reasons to question the seismic adequacy today, and I don't think there are, then we ought to say, we don't know anything today. But we have an open mind because this is going on, which we actually describe, and you can read it. It's right here on page 6. Okay? And it says, the DCIC's ultimate evaluation of the technical issues raised will necessarily need to await the further work now underway. Duh. Do you not agree with that? So how can you disagree? I'm being as strong as I can be. How can you disagree with the statement that we found this, and we found this, unless you think there's a seismic compromise? Let's say there isn't. Let's tell the public there isn't. Let's tell them our current view that there isn't. Or if you want to say there is, I want somebody to explain it to me, and maybe I'll agree. Let him respond. It's really important. This is the most important thing today. It's the most important thing this month.
So, a couple of comments. The first is that I'm searching my records to find the version of the fact-finding report that has that information. I do not have it.
It's D3, you'll find it.
I'm
sorry,
D6,
D6, I'm
and
sorry.
so I don't.
No,
it's
D6, I'm sorry, yeah.
I don't have a copy of that report, and so.
We can defer this, but I don't want to put it off. It seems to me it's really important to me.
The first point is that I've not had a chance to review this copy.
Well, that's not my fault. That's not my fault. You've had it.
No, it's not in my computer. So at any rate, so I think that we should defer consideration of the report until tomorrow and consider approval of the report, or potential amendment of the report, or not approving the report.
I want to make a motion which you can put on the table. I move that we approve this report and the corresponding way that it gets transmitted to the record. All right? And you can put that on the table, that's fine, but I want it to be on the table rather than not even on the table. Okay? It seems to me that we owe it to ourselves. I'm going to be blunt. The two of you owe it to me. I spent hours and hours and hours and hours crafting not only the technical detail, but the conclusions, which are ambiguous on purpose. All right? But if you think there's a seismic safety concern, let's say so. And if you think there isn't, let's say so.
So
I
Bob,
really feel strongly about that.
I can tell, and so one of the reasons for us to table this until tomorrow is so that we can get a bit past that emotion.
Yeah, but we can't talk about it offline, you know.
I tried to tell you that I've not had the chance to review the specific conclusions because I was not transmitted version 6 of the fact-finding report. Well, that's just a fact. So let's plan to table this and bring it up to tomorrow. Is that feasible? Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, we can, yeah, it's perfectly acceptable to table the, there was a motion that Dr. Budnis made, but it did not get a second, so there's no motion.
I think one of you guys ought to second it, and then we'll put it on the table, which commits to doing it tomorrow. I'm gonna be as blunt as I can be. You owe me the courtesy of a second to put it on the table. All right? Boy, is this outrageous. You mean you don't even agree that we're gonna put it on the table for tomorrow?
I just said, let's table this for tomorrow.
All right, okay,
Okay,
good.
we can
So-
table the discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
You realize we can't talk about this except here,
That's right. That is correct.
and we don't.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, so the discussion amongst the committee will continue tomorrow. Now, did we have any public comment on this fact-finding report that does not